Okay, let's get into it. We are doing a deep dive today into a really fascinating set of sources. We're looking at intelligence reports, personal letters, even some judicial summaries,
Hmm.
and they all concern one of Rome's most, well, tenacious, if maybe a little shabby, informers, Marcus Didius Falco.
Right. And what we're really trying to do here, the mission for this deep dive, is to trace these tangled threads.
Exactly. We're talking high-level espionage, a very difficult romance, and then a shocking double murder.
And all of this is playing out against this huge backdrop. You've got the Roman Empire's expansionist gaze. It's AD 72, and they're looking at the Near East.
So we're going to follow Falco's personal dramas from, the Imperial Palace in Rome all the way to a dusty stage in the Decapolis.
And we're going to figure out what it all actually reveals about the emperor's Vespasian's geopolitical ambitions.
It's a huge story.
It is, and the
Yeah.
timing is absolutely critical. You mentioned AD 72. This is Vespasian's third year in power.
So a relatively new emperor.
Brand new. And he's just come out of this period of absolute chaos, the year of the four emperors, a brutal civil war.
Right.
So the empire's focus is, it's intensely on reconstruction and maybe even more importantly on stabilizing the frontiers.
So any little thing could throw it off.
Any element of instability. It could be corruption in the city, or it could be a powerful, unaligned kingdom just sitting there on your border. It all demands immediate, detailed intelligence.
Which is where Falco comes in.
Exactly. So what starts for him as, what seems like a low-grade personal adventure, it gets woven into these massive imperial concerns, securing trade routes, expanding political influence, all of it.
And Falco himself is, the sources say he's personally and professionally adrift at this point. He needs a win. He's looking for a kind of a refurbishment.
A great way to put it.
We find him sitting in the Circus of Nero, which has, this famously bloody history. But now it's being used for what the sources call comparatively staged chariot racing.
So a bit rundown.
A bit rundown, yeah. And his attention isn't even on the racing. He's watching a surprisingly small elephant that's practicing a tightrope walk.
Wow. Okay, that's an image.
It's a perfect image for his state of mind, right? He's distracted, he's restless, he feels let down by his patron Vespasian, and he's just ready to grab onto any dangerous distraction that comes his way.
And his personal anchor in all this, Helena Justina, she's with him.
Which complicates everything.
Incredibly so. She is a sharp-witted patrician, a senator's daughter. Their relationship completely flies in the face of Roman social norms.
And he finds her, difficult to understand?
Well, he notes, with that classic self-deprecation, that it took him 6 months to even begin to understand her. He says she's tricky to know, like mopping up oil with a sponge.
That's good.
But she's also fiercely loyal. She chooses to go with him, despite her status. And she is very, very astute. She's already suspicious of why Falco is really being sent halfway across the world.
And those suspicions get justified pretty much immediately because he gets hit with these two tasks, these twin missions that drag him eastward.
Right.
The first one is the big one, the Imperial mission. It comes from the man Falco despises most, Anacrates, the chief spy.
Anacrates, who the sources describe as just entirely too neat, all oil and buff-colored tunics and perfectly manicured fingernails, just the opposite of Falco.
Complete opposite. And the message is delivered in a hushed back room at the palace. It's an extraterritorial expedition, a discreet surveillance mission to Nabatea.
The official high-stakes political job.
Right. But then almost at the same time comes the second request. And this one seems, trivial. It's deeply personal.
From who?
It's from Salia, an entertainer. She needs Falco to find a missing person.
Okay.
A woman named Sophrona, who is apparently a supremely talented player of the water organ, the hydraulis.
A water organist. You don't hear that every day.
No. And she was last seen in the Decapolis, which is a Greek federation in central Syria.
So the destination is set, and it spans these critical zones of Roman trade and influence. But the objectives couldn't be more different.
Exactly. You have Vespasian's grand geopolitical strategy on one hand, and a runaway musician on the other.
And that's what makes Helena so suspicious.
Yeah.
The sheer coincidence of it.
She knows his life. It's never a straight line.
Right. It seems a little too convenient that the big imperial mission just happens to land him in the exact same place as the missing organist case. And, as we're about to find out, a random murder.
Yeah, that too. But let's stick with the big mission for a minute, the geopolitics. Nabatea. Why on earth should Rome care so deeply about this desert kingdom?
Okay, yeah, this is the core of it. We have to zoom out and look at the map of AD 72. Nabatee's position is everything. It's purely strategic and economic.
Where is it exactly?
It's perfectly positioned. It's basically sandwiched right between Rome's recently, and I use quotes here, pacified Judea.
Right after the Jewish War.
Exactly. And the immensely critical imperial province of Egypt.
The breadbasket of the empire.
The breadbasket. So this small kingdom is sitting at the nexus, the meeting point of all these great trade routes coming from the Far East running across Arabia.
So we're not just talking about, pottery and local goods here.
No, no. We are talking about the very foundation of Rome's luxury economy.
Spices.
Spices, yes. Cinnamon, cassia, black peppers, but also precious gemstones, exotic woods, and critically, incense, frankincense and myrrh.
Things the Roman elite can't get enough of.
Exactly. Rome is, without a doubt, the most voracious customer for luxury goods in the world at this time. And there's a problem.
The taxes.
The taxes, the customs levies. The Nabateans, especially from their capital Petra, they control the policing of these huge caravan routes. They provide the security.
They charge for it.
They charge notorious and very significant customs levies. And since Rome is the final customer,
Rome foots the bill.
Rome foots the bill. It's draining massive amounts of gold from the imperial treasury. So Vespasian, who is famously this crusty old general, very pragmatic.
Very concerned with the bottom line.
Very. He's wondering if this rich, powerful kingdom shouldn't just be encouraged to join the empire.
Which would bring that whole trading post under direct Roman control.
And eliminate the customs fees overnight.
So what did Rome actually need to know to make that happen? I mean, they must have had some intelligence.
Well, that's the thing. Vespasian, we know, distrusts such stuff as outdated reports. The current intelligence they have is based on the work of Strabo, the famous geographer.
Okay, he's a reliable source.
Usually. But unfortunately, Strabo had relied heavily on the testimony of a man named Athenodorus.
And the problem was?
Athenodorus was, rather inconveniently, blind.
You're kidding.
No. So you can't really base a potential military annexation on literally blind reporting.
So that's Falco's job. He's the new set of eyes.
He is the new set of eyes. And his role is very specific. He has to go as a low-grade messenger. His shabby appearance is part of the cover. It signals Rome's restraint.
They're not sending a general.
They're not sending a legionary legate, no. They're sending a nobody. His mission is to gather fresh on-the-ground intelligence, gauge the threat level, assess their military readiness, their economy, and, maybe most importantly, the political stability under their king, Rabble II.
But that disguise, the whole low-grade messenger thing, it fails almost immediately.
Almost the second he gets there.
Right. As soon as he and Helena are walking through that famous narrow gorge, the Sick, into Petra, the secretively guarded stronghold, they're spotted.
But he's still working. He's making mental notes for Vespasian's briefing.
What's he seeing?
He's seeing wealth. He sees freshwater springs, a lot of greenery, flocks, agriculture. He notes they use camels and oxen, but significantly.
No horses.
They seem to lack horses, a key military detail. He also sees flourishing mining and this very delicate signature floral pottery decorated with panache.
So signs of a sophisticated, self-sustaining economy.
One that Rome would dearly love to control.
And this is where Helena, who isn't even supposed to be on the mission, makes the most important observation.
Right. From a military perspective, she's the one who gets it.
She looks at that narrow path leading into the city and just mutters to Falco that the entire entrance could be held against a full Roman army by
just 5 men.
Just 5 men.
And that's a key insight. It suggests a direct invasion through that approach would be a deadly bottleneck, a disaster.
So she realizes their journey might be superfluous from a purely military scouting point of view.
Which suggests Vespasian's real intent is something else. Diplomatic, maybe, or pure intelligence, but not a prelude to an immediate invasion.
But they don't even get a chance to file that report. Before they know it, Falco is exposed as a spy, and he's summoned for an interview.
By the brother.
The brother. The sources are a little vague on who this is, just a high official.
Given the structure of Nabatean power, he's likely the king's designated representative, maybe his actual brother, maybe a military governor, someone with real influence.
And the confrontation is, tense.
Very delicate. Falco tries his usual tactic, right? He plays the low-status shyster.
Downplaying everything.
He argues that Vespasian is just being scholarly. He's curious. He doesn't trust the old blind reports.
But the brother doesn't buy it.
Not for a second. He's astute. He counters that Vespasian is also a strategist. He knows what this is about.
So Falco realizes he's been caught, and he switches tactics from subterfuge to a direct threat.
A very hard threat. And this is where the geopolitical stakes just get laid bare.
He tells him, point blank, that the peremptory death of a Roman citizen, even a shabby one like him, would be
An excuse for sending in a Roman army and annexing Nabatea immediately.
That is a bold move. And it raises a question for us and for you listening.
Yeah.
Why bring that up? Why put that on the table?
It's the concept of the casus belli, a justification for war.
Right. A reason to invade.
And Falco is painfully aware that Anacrates, the chief spy back in Rome, or maybe even Titus Caesar.
Vespasian's son.
Right, who has this complicated rivalry with Falco because of Helena, he might actually welcome his death.
So getting him killed in Nabatea solves two problems at once.
Exactly. It eliminates a rival, a thorn in their side, and it manufactures a perfectly clean reason to launch an invasion.
So he's not just an observer. He's a political pawn, and his life is the bargaining chip.
Absolutely. And just as this high-stakes diplomatic game is playing out, everything changes.
Tragedy strikes, but it's not a Roman tragedy, it's a local one.
At the high place of sacrifice, of all places, he and Helena discover the first body.
Describe the scene.
It's a middle-aged man, maybe 40. The sources say he's noticeably fat, with short arms, and he's drowned.
And there's a bizarre detail.
The most bizarre detail. The only thing keeping the body afloat is an unwritten writing tablet that's been tucked into his clothing.
An unwritten tablet.
Blank.
So what's the immediate consequence of this?
Well, the entire geopolitical mission is instantly compromised. The brother just smiles faintly at Falco's casus belli threat.
Acknowledging the power play.
Right. But he also recognizes that this completely local murder has now made the Roman informer a key figure in an unwelcome local investigation.
So his mission to gather intelligence quietly is over.
Officially over. They're quickly put under the watchful supervision of a young local priest named Musa, and then they're basically marched out of Petra.
And Musa is terrified.
Immediately terrified of the brother's power, which just shows how serious this has become. Falco has gone from imperial messenger to, what, a murder consultant? And he is no longer in control.
So the moment they're out of Petra, the whole focus shifts. The geopolitical plot is sidelined, and the murder investigation takes over.
And his two missions, the official one and the personal one, they just collide head-on.
Right, because he needs a way to get to the Decapolis, so he accepts a lift from a traveling group.
A ragtag theater company.
Run by an actor-manager named Crims. And Crims immediately confirms the dead man was their playwright, Heliodorus.
And that they'd been ordered to leave Petra in a huge hurry because of the body.
So we've immediately shifted from the macroeconomics of empire to the, the micro-sociology of a traveling theater troupe.
And Crims is brutally honest about the victim.
He doesn't mince words.
Not at all. He says Heliodorus was universally despised. He just scoffs and says, everyone did.
Which is vital, because it means Falco immediately has a massive suspect list.
Basically, every single person in the group who traveled with the playwright from the Decapolis to Petra is now a suspect.
And we need to spend some time here because the source material is very clear. This wasn't just, a vague dislike. Heliodorus systematically built this web of power through pure malice and really intricate blackmail.
He made sure the hatred was deeply personal to everyone.
So the troupe is now heading toward Burstra, this black basalt city, and Falco is still thinking like a spy, right?
Always. He notes that the region's geographical neatness next to the Decapolis is exactly what Vespasian would want for a straight Roman frontier.
So even while he's deep in the weeds of this, low-grade theatrical crime, the imperial stakes are still there in the background.
Right. So let's break down these motives because they are the framework for the entire investigation. Where do we start?
Let's start with Phrygia, the lead actress. Her distress was, profound.
And it was all because of Heliodorus. He knew about her missing child.
She had to leave her baby behind somewhere.
Right. And somehow the playwright discovered the exact location or the fate of that child, and he used this knowledge to just torment her. Constantly.
How?
He would hint at it, drop these terrible little clues, forcing her to pretend she didn't believe him just to make him stop. This wasn't blackmail for money.
It was emotional cruelty for the sake of power.
Pure psychological torture. And then you have the manager, Crims. He was under financial blackmail.
So even though he hated the playwright, he couldn't fire him.
He couldn't. He was deep in debt to him. We learned that Heliodorus was a strange kind of actor, a private hoarder of cash.
And Crims borrowed from him.
Heavily. After he foolishly spent all the money for the orchestra and the stagehands, So that debt was a professional trap. It ensured Heliodorus kept his job and gave him leverage over the whole company.
And the playwright's aggression wasn't just financial or emotional, it was violent.
It was. It extended to the women in the troupe, especially Varia, the ambitious, sharp-edged young actress.
She's the one who strictly avoids men.
Right. And she was a key target for him. He actually tried to rape her in Petra.
And she was rescued by Grumio, one of the clowns.
Yes. So her constant rejection of him and his violent aggression toward her, that fueled major conflict with the other men in the cast.
Which leads us straight to Philocrates, the handsome leading man.
The rival.
Exactly. He was already in this ongoing rivalry with Heliodorus, directly over Baria's affection. Falco suspects him immediately.
Especially when Philocrates tries to downplay it later. He calls it only a tiff over a girl.
Yeah, right. And crucially, what's his alibi?
His alibis rely entirely on anonymous sexual liaisons.
Which are completely unverifiable. Falco later calls them feeble lies, and he's not wrong.
And we can't forget the lower status members of the company. They endured constant humiliation.
Like Congrio, the bill poster.
He harbored this deep hatred because Heliodorus just mocked his illiteracy mercilessly and physically assaulted him.
And when the playwright dies, Congrio inherits his few belongings.
His meager effects, yeah. Some poorly adapted clothing, a tinderbox, and a few drawstring purses. And what's inside them is very telling.
What was it?
5 bent dice and a single bronze forgery coin.
So loaded dice.
Loaded dice and fake money. It immediately signaled that Heliodorus was a cheat, a bent player, someone who profited by cheating others.
Okay, and finally, the clowns. Tranio and Grumio.
The clown pair. Tranio is the witty cynic and satirist, and he was known to have lost a valuable item, a pledge to Heliodorus.
And this wasn't for money.
No, it was something Heliodorus just used for constant taunts.
Yeah.
And Grumio, he's the opposite. He's outwardly the stolid country clown, the dullard. He's Tranio's on-off friend.
So everyone had a reason.
A very good reason. The initial murder of Heliodorus was completely plausible, driven by motives as thick as barnacles on a ship. But then, things get complicated.
The second murder.
The double murder. The troupe gets to Gerasa, and they're trying to perform during the Mayuma festival, which is known for just being a riot.
And Ione, the tamarinist, is found dead, strangled and naked at the sacred pools.
This second murder changes everything.
How so?
Well, for one, Ione was killed while she was off her guard.
Which suggests the killer was someone she knew, a friend or a lover.
Right. But more critically, she had confided in Falco just before she died. She told him the first murder, Heliodorus' murder, was purely professional.
Not romantic or sexual.
Not about passion. It was business. And she also told another musician that Heliodorus boasted about having compromising information on everyone.
So the first murder wasn't just revenge, it was to solve a problem. And Ione had figured out what that problem was.
Exactly. And then the investigation takes another dangerous turn. The near death of Musa, the Nabatean priest.
Right. Falco had joked about using him as a decoy.
A joke that almost gets him killed. Musa is deliberately pushed into the reservoir at Bostra during a drunken gathering.
But he survives. And he has a critical piece of evidence.
A huge piece of evidence. He confirms that the person who pushed him was whistling as they walked away.
And this is the vital connection.
It's everything. Because Musa had heard that same whistling sound before.
In Petra.
As the killer fled the high place of sacrifice after drowning Heliodorus.
So this one sound connects both attacks, the murder and the attempted murder.
And it tells Falco the killer is getting extremely jumpy. They killed once to solve a problem, and now they're just killing anyone who gets too close to the truth.
Or anyone who might be a witness, like Musa.
So the focus of the suspects shifts dramatically. You can now discard anyone whose motive was just simple revenge or debt.
Because this killer is desperate. They're trying to maintain silence about a secret that predates both murders.
And it's tied to the geography. It's someone who moved between Petra and Bostra and who is now panicking. Falco's holding Heliodorus' effects, those weighted dice, and he starts to rethink his initial theories.
He thought it was Tranio.
Right, the cynic, the obvious victim of the blackmail. But a true cynic would just hide and watch. This killer is actively and clumsily removing threats.
So the journey pushes on. And it gets physically grueling now. They're heading toward Palmyra, a major hub in the desert trade network.
And this change in setting, it really emphasizes the punishing reality of where they are. It underlines the dedication of Helena and Musa to be following Falco's messy life across the frontier.
And then the environment itself strikes back. It delivers a serious personal blow to Falco,
Helena is stung by a scorpion.
and she develops a raging high fever. Falco is thrown into just a state of sheer desperation.
He's forced to become her doctor.
Right, he distrusts the local water, so he has to operate as her impromptu physician, treating her with raw poppy juice and henbane mixed into melted honey.
That must have been terrifying for him.
Yeah.
That moment of sheer helplessness.
He notes in a letter that he had this frightening feeling that she was going a long way from me. This personal crisis is huge because it distracts him, but it also reveals the true character of everyone around him.
And it brings Moose's feelings for Helena to a head.
His deep, unrequited loyalty.
Right. Musa had developed these profoundly earnest feelings for her, for this patrician woman. And when she's sick, he just collapses emotionally. He's utterly unable to help her.
Syria confirms that later, doesn't she?
She does. She tells Falco that Musa could not bear being no use to her. His devotion, coupled with his shame and his helplessness, it's just too much.
So he leaves.
He departs silently and alone, just leaves an empty space in the tent. And his reason for leaving shame and devotion, it confirms his innocence in all the violence.
Meanwhile, Falco has to somehow compartmentalize his panic and keep investigating, and he finally gets a crucial confession from Grumio.
About the pledge.
About the pledge that Heliodorus held over Tranio. Grumio admits it wasn't a gambling debt, like Tranio claimed.
It was purely a tool Heliodorus used for taunts and for power.
And that distinction is crucial.
It's everything. A gambling debt is just financial power. But a pledge used for taunts implies the item was evidence of something deeper, a more secret crime maybe, or something tied to Tranio's reputation that he just couldn't afford to have revealed.
So Tranio had a hidden motive that went way beyond just losing some money.
Right. And Grumio, in this flash of real cruelty, even admits, it rather suited me to keep our clever friend on tenterhooks. It shows he had his own streak of quiet sadism.
So with that momentum, Falco applies pressure somewhere else. He confronts Philocrates, the handsome actor.
The one with the flimsy alibi.
He points out that his alibi for both murders, these anonymous rendezvous, is totally unverifiable. It's just feeble lies.
And while Philocrates maintains his innocence, claiming his rivalry was only a tiff over a girl, Falco knows how easy it is to fluster a confident man just by saying something grossly unfair.
So he's still a plausible suspect, but not the main one.
Not with that whistling connection.
And this is where the investigation just hinges on a completely mundane detail. It shows Falco's focus even when he's in the middle of this personal crisis.
He has a chance encounter with the owner of a back-facing goat.
Which sounds ridiculous, but it ties back to the market in Bostra, and the goat owner confirms he spoke to Musa near Gerasa.
Right. Musa was asking for directions to the pools where Ione was murdered.
Now here's the breakthrough.
The key detail.
The goat owner clarifies that the person who asked for directions was on a camel and was not the person performing on the barrel.
And who was performing on the barrel that night, according to everyone in the company?
Grumio.
So that cracks the case wide open.
Grumio's ironclad alibi for Aeone's murder, that he was performing all night during the festival, is now definitively proven to be false.
He had slipped away. He had a pre-planned absence from his act.
And that absence gave him enough time to ride the camel to the pools, meet Ione, who trusted him,
Kill her, and then get back to his performance before anyone really noticed he was gone.
So all the pieces just click into place. The killer was the seemingly stolid, harmless Grumio, the comedian.
He killed Heliodorus to get that pledge back and protect whatever secret alliance he had with Tranio. Heliodorus refused to give it up, so Grumio killed him.
And then he killed Ione.
Because she, with her sharp theatrical insight, correctly guessed the murder was purely professional. She was getting too close to the truth that connected Grumio and Tranio.
So the confrontation. It's set during a truly disastrous performance of a play called The Spook Who Spoke.
In the Palmyra Garrison Amphitheater.
Yeah.
So the audience is all soldiers.
And the environment is already volatile. The play has lewd dancing girls and a live sacrificial kid just to keep the soldiers happy.
Tranio, the cynical clown, he realizes Falco is setting a trap. And he cleverly improvises dialogue on stage to warn his friend. He says something like, "Leg it while you can."
Grumio senses the trap is sprung, and the knife fight begins, right there in the arena.
An actual fight, and the soldiers are cheering it on.
And Grumio is skilled. He's an acrobat, a juggler. He tries to use a stage prop, a big wicker basket, to kill Falco, forcing the lid open in his face.
But the basket doesn't hold a weapon. It holds Thalia's enormous, untamed python, Zeno.
And just as Zeno emerges, Musa reappears.
He never really left. He secretly took the job of being Thalia's keen new snake keeper.
So he approaches, holding the sacrificial kid from the play. He tries to make a formal arrest, using his slim Nabatean dagger just as a gesture of authority.
But Grumio makes one last, desperate move. He springs away, grabs the kid, and throws it at Zeno, hoping for a distraction.
But the python just ignores it and retreats into the scenery, a classic case of an actor refusing to cooperate.
And that's when the true trap is sprung. By Thalia.
The entertainer who started this whole thing, her new, highly venomous Egyptian cobra, Pharaoh, was hidden in a ceramic jar on stage.
And it strikes Grumio.
Thalia, with this cold certainty, just confirms it. Grumio will be gone before dawn. He and Tranio are arrested by the garrison soldiers, and the case is closed. Messily.
So with the murder plot violently concluded, Falco can finally turn his attention back to the original personal commission.
Sophrona, the missing water organist.
Right. Falco had already found her in Palmyra. She'd run off with a young man named Khalid, who was the son of a wealthy Damascene named Habib.
A familiar story. Rich boy runs off with the unsuitable, low-born girl.
And Falco, being the master manipulator, he knows he needs social leverage here, not just detective work.
So he promises the young couple marriage and free theater tickets to lure the influential Habib family to that final, disastrous performance.
But the actual high-wire diplomacy? That's not handled by Falco. It's handled by the women.
Helena. She's fully recovered from the scorpion sting, and she just steps into the spotlight.
And her transformation is strategic. It's profound. She appears in full patrician regalia. A new Palmyrene silk dress, bronze bracelets all the way up her elbow, a formal tiara.
She and Thalia then put on this brilliant piece of performance art in the commander's box, making sure the Habib family can see them.
This wasn't just dressing up. This was weaponizing social status.
And Helena's performance is compelling. She claims Sophrona is a talented, highborn, but wayward girl.
And that she, as a respected Roman noblewoman, is personally taking her back to Rome for a proper life and an education.
She focuses heavily on the girl's musical talent, stressing that the hydraulis is the instrument of emperors.
She's linking the girl's skill to the absolute highest echelons of Roman culture.
And the outcome is just a textbook example of Roman diplomacy without violence.
It's pure social manipulation. The Habib family is desperate to save face about their son's scandal, and they're completely impressed by Helena's status and her expensive jewelry.
So they immediately propose marriage between the two young lovers.
Which secures Sophrona's future, ensures Khalid gets an education in Rome, and perfectly resolves Thalia's missing person case.
And that elegant fix then smooths the way for the grand finale that Falco really needed to calm down the garrison.
Right, the soldiers were furious about the show being cut short and the messy ending. They'd started ripping up the benches.
So Thalia and her crew respond by wheeling out the centerpiece, the hydraulis.
And we should pause here and just appreciate what this instrument was. This wasn't a flute or a lyre. This was a colossal piece of Roman engineering.
How big was it?
Over 12 feet high.
Yeah.
Made of bronze and reed pipes set over a water-filled chamber. It was a massive machine designed to generate powerful, resonant sound.
So its very presence in the Decapolis was a signal of Roman influence and technology.
Absolutely. And Sophrona, the long-sought water organist, she's convinced to play.
And her performance is astonishing.
The technical power of the instrument, combined with her immense talent, it just completely changes the atmosphere.
The sources say the reverberating chords rise powerfully above the desert noise.
And they instantly silence the restless camels and the rioting soldiers. The audience is quieted. They recognize her talent and the sheer power of the music.
It's an assimilation of chaos through culture.
Perfectly put. And that resolution also brings peace within the theater troupe itself. Phrygia, the actress who was blackmailed over her child.
She finds solace. Even though Heliodorus' lies about Sophrona being her child were just that, lies, she's delighted that Sophrona is safe and has a grand future.
And then she welcomes Beria, the ambitious young actress, as her new dramatic successor.
So Beria's career is now secure. The toxic environment is replaced with stability and opportunity.
It's ironic. The chaos of murder and blackmail led to a stable professional succession and a high society match. It's every dramatic trope the company itself would normally perform.
So let's circle back. We leave the intricate world of the Decapolis behind, and we look at Rome's overarching concerns.
Right.
Falco's personal mission was a success. He solved the crime, he engineered this politically useful social solution, and he kept Helena alive. But what we've really unpacked here is that the entire engine of violence, those two murders, was driven by personal secrets.
Heliodorus' debt collection, his blackmail of Phrygia, that stolen pledge that represented Tranio's vulnerability.
These low-grade theatrical secrets completely overshadowed the initial imperial task of surveillance.
And what this deep dive really underscores, for you, the learner, is the multifaceted nature of Roman power in the provinces.
It wasn't just about legions.
No. Falco's mission, though technically unofficial, it shows how the empire is built not just on military might, but on sophisticated trade networks, efficient intelligence gathering, and personal connections.
And even in the most remote corners of the world, whether you're looking at Nabatean priests or Roman actors, the same fundamental social pressures are at play.
Debt, loyalty, ambition, love. These personal dramas often become the most potent fuel for instability and, paradoxically, for successful integration into the empire.
Falco started this mission feeling like an unwanted pawn, caught between high politics and low crime.
And he ends it, having survived a knife fight, fixed a difficult social match using his lover's status, and proved his worth. But, significantly, he did it all far away from the official channels, far from Anacreeks.
And that separation from official violent channels seems to be the key takeaway.
It is. Falco's underlying belief, one shared by many who favored assimilation over conquest, is that cultural contact and private friendship could smooth the path to unification.
If traditional diplomacy fails, Rome uses force.
Right. But if personal links and shared cultural experiences, like the power of Sophronia's water organ, can be established, assimilation might actually become a willing partnership.
Which leads us to our final provocative thought for you to explore.
Mm.
Musa, the Nabatean priest. He overcame his desperate crush on Helena. He proved his competence, his loyalty, his quiet authority. He goes back to the desert, and he seems destined for a powerful role in Petra.
And at the same time, Beria, the ambitious actress, is now perfectly positioned to command the Roman stage. She has a clear career path.
So, given Falco's vision that cultural contact could smooth assimilation, if Musa and Beria were to maintain their long-distance friendship based on that shared trauma and loyalty to Falco,
could their non-military bond one day serve as the perfect personal link to bring Nabatea willingly into the Roman Empire?
it's a compelling thought, isn't it? That the best long-term diplomacy might not happen through a senatorial decree, but through shared secrets and lasting friendship across cultural divides.